What you're seeing here isn't just another Arizona mining project. This is what it looks like to redesign mining from the ground up and begin with the end in mind. So today we are visiting South32's Hermosa project just outside of Patagonia, Arizona. We are getting a behind the scenes tour of the project here. I do just want to say that I am not being paid by South32 to be here. They were nice enough to let us on site and share it with you all. So massive thank you to them. If by the end of this video, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out to the team at askhermosa@south32.com. I will also put that in the description below. So I'm super excited and I cannot wait to show you all what's happening here.
Before taking a look at this future forward project, first, let's rewind a little bit to the mining history here because you know that I am a sucker for mining history. The rugged Patagonia Mountains have drawn miners for centuries, creating a rich legacy that sets the stage for today's innovative approaches, which included these mineral-rich mountains that had long attracted Native American, Spanish, and Mexican miners before American prospectors arrived. The earliest American mining in the Patagonias began shortly after, with the Patagonia Mine, later renamed the Maori Mine, becoming one of the first significant operations in the region. Throughout the late 1800s, mines extracted primarily silver and lead, with small towns springing up around these successful operations. The arrival of the railroad in 1882 transformed mining in the region, making it easier to ship ore and bring in equipment. However, the federal demonetization of silver in 1893, the end of World War I, and the Great Depression all triggered downturns that closed many mines. These historical operations left environmental challenges behind: open tailings, acid drainage, and abandoned workings that modern mining practices now address differently. Previous miners couldn't imagine the technology and environmental standards we have today. Today, in the same area that has witnessed centuries of mining evolution, South32's Hermosa project represents the next chapter in this long history, one that aims to balance our need for critical minerals with environmental stewardship and community partnership. And I'm taking you along with me to check it out. So one of the things that I thought was just so fun is how historic the town of Patagonia itself is, but also the way that the company here is kind of weaving into it. So their office is actually located in an old bank building, which means it has some hidden treasures for us to find.
Come on in. This building here, this is the Patagonia Commercial Company. It used to be on this corner up until about the late 60s. And Ann Stradling tore it down and built this building that we're in now, which is the bank building, the hotel, the restaurant, and whatnot. You can see some old ore samples that were out in front. So this was 1905 when this picture was taken. Ooh, okay. First off, check out this door. That's pretty crazy. And then in here.
All right, if you want to see what treasures are hiding in the bank vault, you have to stick around till the end of the video because for now, it is time for us to get ready to head up towards site. During our drive, we got to chat with the team about their vision for the project. As we arrive at our first stop, the Overlook, we're getting a chance to see how South32 is approaching mining differently, while still acknowledging the realities of what a modern mining operation looks like. The first thing I noticed when we reached the Overlook was what looks like a construction area with a large pile of material. This is actually an innovative approach to handling tailings, the material left over after the valuable minerals are extracted. Unlike traditional mining operations that often use wet tailings ponds, Hermosa is using what's called dry stack tailings, a more stable and environmentally responsible approach that uses less water.
Jess, welcome to Hermosa.
Thank you.
What you're looking at here is a bunch of voluntary remediation tailings. So predecessor mining companies had tailings that were just distributed on the ground. And as part of the acquisition, we worked with the state and did a voluntary remediation program to put those historic tailings on a lined facility. So what you see in front of us, there is a low permeability barrier below this. It's a geomembrane, so it makes it so that when we stack these tailings, it's basically engineered fill. It's designed so that the water goes around it, hits the liner, and it goes to our underdrain collection pond where we treat the water and then use that for construction and dust control. And we have to be good stewards of everything that we're working with. And so we don't look at it and say, geez, this was here from the 1800s, or geez, this was here from the 1960s. It's like, no, let's make it right, let's do it right. And that way, through the course of this, we meet our obligations and what our stakeholders are counting on us doing, which is doing this right.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely love that.
Looking beyond the tailings facility, you can see two key structures that will provide access to the underground portions of the mine. Andy pointed out the main shaft and ventilation shaft, which will eventually reach depths of nearly 3,000 feet.
Do you want the Vanna White or do you want the you want the pirate?
The full Vanna White. We want to have a yeah.
All right, now keep an eye on these. There's a pop quiz at the end of which one is which.
And so let me test this memory. This one on the right, that's the main one?
That's right. That's the main shaft.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. So this is the main shaft. This is where rocks, people, that kind of stuff are going to go.
Yep. After the sinking configuration, that's where the ore will go out of the mine, where the people will go into them.
Okay, awesome. And then this green one here, that's the ventilation.
That's the vent shaft.
And that's just air.
Just air, but we are also configuring it to be able to sling equipment.
We also got to see a detailed model of the shaft system, the critical infrastructure that will provide access to the underground mine workings. These are the vertical tunnels that are underneath those two structures that we saw, and it gave me a better chance to understand the incredible engineering that goes into modern shaft construction.
So, we're tubey thingies. What are we looking at here?
Okay, this is a 2-scale
Oh,
graphical representation of the vent shaft
this one's the vent?
and the main shaft.
I even got to learn a little something new that I'd never seen before.
And then the Galloway.
Yep.
I'm not even familiar with what that is.
Okay, so the Galloway, are you familiar with scaffolding?
Yes, okay.
Okay, so
picture it kind of like
I mean, very similar to what we're on here, but imagine round, 25-foot diameter shaft. There are 5 levels on our Galloway. The top deck they use for installing things like utilities, and then the bottom deck, we have vertical shaft muckers nested in our Galloway.
I also loved learning how they remove material during shaft sinking. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever get the job for this because I am not good at one particular arcade game.
So cool, easy comparison to understand what a vertical shaft mucker is. They are the things that get the broken muck from the shaft into the muck buckets that we take to the surface and get the muck out. An easier analogy, if you've ever played a claw game in an arcade,
Yep, okay.
those vertical shaft muckers, we've got 2 of them, they are the claw game.
Right.
And they are operated from the Galloway via joystick. So it really is a life-size version, a mining-size version of the claw game. Right.
Okay, so if you want to have this job in the future, go practice claw games now.
There you go.
Awesome.
Later in our tour, we'll get a closer look at these impressive structures and learn more about how they're constructed. Another interesting aspect of Hermosa's design is how the ore, the valuable rock, will be handled once operations begin.
Okay.
So one of the really unique things about this project and this property is that when we're in normal operation, our ore will come out of the main shaft.
Okay.
It will go via conveyor to where those gen sets are. There will be a place where we peel off between waste and ore, and the ore goes directly up via conveyor to a coarse ore silo.
Okay.
Or coarse ore bins. So when we're in normal business as usual operation, our ore doesn't touch the ground.
In Arizona's arid climate, water management is absolutely critical. Hermosa has made this a central focus of their operation with 2 state-of-the-art water treatment plants.
Off to our left here, we have a surge tank and a water treatment plant. Water treatment plant 2.
Okay.
We have water management wells, so they have been drilled from surface. They're between 24 and 26 inch diameter.
Wow.
They go down to 4,600 feet.
Okay.
So they are very deep. And what we're doing is depressurizing the aquifer so that we can safely access the ore body.
Okay.
And that's about factor of safety. You may not have noticed this, but on your trip up to the site on Harshaw Creek, you would have noticed areas of that are dry. And the reason that it's dry is that water that we're putting back into the creek, sure, there's some use that the vegetation uses. Sure, there's some evaporative loss, but the majority of it's reinfiltrating back into the aquifer.
All right, we have covered a lot of information here at the Hermosa Project Overlook, and there is so much more that Andy shared with me that we just can't fit into this video. If you're interested in learning more about any of these aspects or anything else happening on the project, I highly encourage you to contact the Hermosa team directly or consider taking one of those public tours to see it for yourself. We are heading back towards those headframes to see the construction up close. With so much happening here on site, we're going to shift to a more casual, behind-the-scenes style for this next part that you may not be used to seeing from us. So come along with us as we explore the Hermosa project together.
Get our PPE on for this next part. Gloves, obviously vest, hard hats, steel toes. Those are always prepared.
All right, you remember when I was talking about the claw machines?
Yeah.
This is the claw machine.
Okay.
2 of these in the Galloway, nested in the Galloway. This is what we use to muck out the rounds.
Crazy.
Probably not what you were thinking when I said claw machine, but now you get the analogy.
Yeah, like this.
Yep.
And then their fingers. Okay.
This is the main shaft jumbo.
Okay.
That's what they look like before they go underground. 5 arms.
Okay.
So you see the blue ring on top?
Yep.
That collapses on itself so that we can fit it through the bucket wells in the Galloway.
Wow.
2 bucket wells in the Galloway, so muck buckets. That folds down to the size of a muck bucket so that you can get it down. It goes in the shaft every round, comes out of the shaft every round.
I'll tell you, I've been doing construction a long time.
Yeah.
That head frame is the single coolest thing I've ever.
Yeah. Love it. All right, so we just walked through what was shaft sinking HQ, I guess. Lots of cool different contractors and stuff. And then we're heading towards the bed shaft. I'm getting them settled, okay. The bed shaft's here. Main shaft's over here. Aaron just told us that they poured this single continuous pour for 12 days straight. So that is a massive structure. How cool is that?
I think it's super cool.
I think it's so cool.
I have the second coolest job. Aaron has we're in the bedrock.
So cool. Okay.
Maybe it won't be as big as you're thinking. Maybe it'll be big.
Okay. 30 feet of concrete under this building, they said, to act as a counterweight for these giant hoists. The hoists here rotate in opposite directions. So even though they're on the same kind of line, one hoist is threaded underneath and one hoist is threaded above. And so there's always one going up and down. Look at the size of these. Massive. Wow. So you can see the cables here going up out of those dog houses that they were talking about earlier. And that's what's running those things up that are inside the shaft up and down. It's basically like a giant elevator system. So Andy here was just telling me that this is not only just really big, but it's also very precise. A few thousandths of an inch it has to be for all of these parts and all this concrete to fit together to be able to run this. Take a look over the edge here. You can kind of just get a size from these things. Massive pieces of equipment.
Those bucket wells right there, that's what the jumbo has to fit in.
And that's 25 feet?
Oh no, the bucket wells are much smaller.
Alright, so the hoists are in this building, and then headframe. Okay. So the cameras that we were looking at in the hoist house there, the bucket that was on the cameras is right here, and then the shaft is right down below us. Craziness. We have people like not beneath our feet standing here, but very cool. Shaft sinking is no joke. Alright, so this is the head frame for the main shaft. It is about 220 feet right now with about another 50 feet to go.
That's why we have a sunroof. So that roof right there is removable so that we can get stuff in and out.
How cool is that?
I know. It's we're totally excited about this. This is dorky project stuff. When you start with dip in mind, you don't have to cut holes in the roof of your building because you have a sunroof.
Okay, this gives you like a full scale of the size of this thing. Like, hold up right there. Like, look at how tall this is. This is crazy. So the cables from the hoist here are going to go up through the head frame, over the shiv wheels, and then down into the shaft. And that's what's going to kind of carry everything up and down.
This is what it takes to get going.
It's so crazy. And you said that these are for shaft sinking only.
Shaft sinking only.
Then move them out. They're gone. The hoists for the shaft are going to be up in the head frame.
Right.
And then this is going to become a warehouse building. So it's a repurposing of the building, reduces footprint, probably reduces costs, so you're not building another warehouse building. So cool.
But one of the things that we've done to ensure that we can do safe work during construction is we're really focused on concurrent work and managing what we call our fatal risks and our critical controls. So one of the big improvements that have been done in all of our work areas is we identify where different work groups are working so that we can identify simultaneous work. If simultaneous work's going on, everybody needs to know who's where, when. We need to identify, is there fatal risk work? And then we focus on the critical controls and we verify that those controls are effective. But this is how we make sure work is well planned, well managed, it's safe by design, and that way we get people home safe and well.
So what are some of those controls for an example?
Yep. So I think working at heights is a good one.
Okay.
And where we start with working at heights is we start with, are you fall protection trained?
Okay.
So can you identify working at heights? Can you identify the associated risks? Can you identify appropriate anchor points? Can you identify the proper level at which you would be allowed to fall if you were exposed to a fall? And then you need to be able to demonstrate that. So it's train, assess, and deem competent. And so if you look at those controls, it's, okay, am I trained? Mm-hmm. Have I been assessed? Am I competent? If I am those things, is my fall protection harness in good order? Is my lanyard in good order? Do I have a certified fall protection point so that I know it will be to standard? And as I'm exposed to a fall, is it at a level that will be less than what I can be exposed to, generally less than 6 feet of fall, if you were to fall while working at heights?
Okay.
That's an example of critical control.
That's crazy. So, like, for all of you out there thinking about this, like, that's everything that goes to prevent you from falling, right? So, like, do you do all of that when you're, like, standing on a ladder? Probably not. And that's just, like, I think such a great example of, like, what it takes to make a mine safe and, like, really effective. So next time you're on a ladder, check your fall protection equipment. Because the whole video is just me, like, being excited. It is. Okay, here's another one of those boards for the different section here. All right, so up next, I'm pretty excited because I think we were told that we're going to the core sheds. So let's go take a look at some rocks. That's what we're really all here for anyways. Let's be real.
In just that short distance.
All right, so we are here at the Hermosa Project's core shed, and we're going to get some geologists here to tell us a little bit about the rocks and minerals, and hopefully get to see some really cool rocks. So let's go.
So the core shed is the geological heart of any mining project. Here, drill cores from different parts of the property are analyzed to understand exactly what lies beneath the surface of the earth. This information guides everything from where to mine to how to process the materials. So first off, we met with Caleb, one of the exploration geologists, who showed us what they're finding in the copper-rich area called the Peak Prospect.
What is it that you're up to here in the Hermosa Project core shed?
So here in the core shed is just basically going through and logging all the core that we've drilled from our different areas of the project. This is one of our holes that we have on our Peak Prospect. It's our copper deposit. And right now just kind of logging through all of our lithology, alteration that we see, mineralization being an important one.
For those who aren't familiar with geological terms, Caleb explains some of those for us as well.
What the heck is lithology?
Lithology is just like whatever rock type we're seeing here, whether you get limestone, sandstones, just trying to get the general idea of what those are.
All right, so what rock type are we looking at here?
Mostly altered limestones.
Okay. Mineralization, what the heck is that?
Basically all the ores that we're going after here. So that'd be your sphalerite, galena, all of our sulfide minerals that are going to break down, crush, and make basically get all the metals out of.
Okay.
And speaking of minerals, the minerals here are particularly interesting, especially zinc and manganese. They are the whole reason this project exists. Zinc might be familiar to most people for its use in galvanizing steel or even in sunscreen, but it's also increasingly important for clean energy applications. It's a key component in certain types of batteries that store energy from wind and solar sources. As renewable energy grows, so does the need for zinc in our supply chains. The United States currently imports much of its zinc, making domestic sources like this increasingly valuable. We also got to see some manganese samples from the Clark deposit, which represent another critical mineral story.
So I'm an underground geologist. I prefer the underground operations. It's kind of the SWAT team of geology, I think,
That's what I keep saying.
Right?
Like, anybody can dig a hole, right?
Yeah.
Like, underground's where it's at.
Yeah, I like fast-paced, dynamic, and whatnot.
Giant core.
Giant core, PQ.
What is it that we're... PQ, is that what it is?
PQ, that's the size.
I'm not used to exploration sizes. Oh, these are huge. How much does each of these boxes weigh?
Well, in the manganese sections, they could weigh up to like 70 pounds. Yep. This is probably like 50 pounds, 40 to 50 pounds, but we've seen way heavier.
I love it. So what is it that we are looking at here? It kind of looks like just a bunch of...
So this is our ore zone in the Clark deposit. It's basically just manganese oxide. So there's a sulfide portion of it and the oxide portion. So this is the cool hole we have going. It's one of the CDS holes, and it has both oxide and sulfide, which is actually kind of rare. You don't see them both.
Awesome.
Manganese is perhaps less well known than zinc, but it's just as crucial for our clean energy future. It's used in several types of electric vehicle batteries and helps us improve the quality and strength of steel used in infrastructure.
Fun facts about manganese.
Well, it's a super heavy, durable mineral. So, like, they use it like the cutting edges of heavy equipment, like skid steers and motors. And so for when we're drilling underground, it goes through like the bits real quick, real easy. And so the miners, when we hit it, they're going to hate it.
One of the most impressive technologies that they're using in the core shed is this portable XRF analyzer, a device that uses X-rays to instantly identify the chemical elements in a rock sample.
So we're using this portable XRF here to scan our rock samples to help with mine rock management. So characterizing our rock if it needs to go into waste or if we can use it for construction. So we're looking at the chemistry of the rocks, the elements that are in it. Mm-hmm. So there's this window here where the X-rays come out of the PXRF onto your sample. So we make sure to put this window on the rock face that we want to look at. So we want to make sure we put it flush up against the sample. All right, so it's pretty flush. Okay, we make sure. Okay, it says it's ready. So I press the trigger once. It pulls up this notes window. So we'll put in the sample ID of what we're shooting. And then I'm going to press the trigger one more time to then activate it. So then this is going to start flashing red, telling you that there is X-ray radiation going on. So to keep a little radius around it. So now it's shooting.
How far of a radius do we need?
That's good.
Okay.
So then it'll go through and it gives you a live view of all the elements that it's finding in that little spot on the rock.
This technology helps them quickly determine which rocks contain high levels of sulfur, information that's crucial for proper waste rock management and environmental protection. It's a great example of how modern technology is making mining both more efficient and more environmentally responsible. So after the core shed, it was time to leave site, which was pretty sad. Admittedly, I could have spent a whole shift in that core shed and been totally happy. But I definitely wanted to wrap up with Denise on some of her knowledge of the history and everything that's happening in the community. And yes, I will finally show you what they're hiding in that vault. Denise shared some of the innovative ways that the project is supporting local needs beyond just providing jobs.
So one of the big projects we did, it took about 2 years to do. We have a property that is just outside of town, and we turned it into a warehouse for the Eastern Santa Cruz County Food Bank. They didn't have a facility to service the people here in the community. They had like 7 different locations that they used to, distribute food out of. So they were very excited to get that property. So.
Awesome. Okay. Speaking of the food bank, there's a little tidbit that I absolutely love. Can we talk about the cows?
Yes, we have a cattle ranch. It's called Brush Hill. We have about 79 head of cattle, and every year we take 3 or 4 of the cattle in and feed them up, and then we have them butchered, and then that goes to the food bank also to distribute to the community.
I just think that's so fascinating.
Beyond food security, South32 has invested in several key projects that benefit them as well as the Patagonia community. They built the Cross Creek Connector Road to keep mining traffic outside of town limits, improved local roads, and even paved the helipad for the fire department. They're also big supporters of education, where they've revitalized technical training programs at the local high school and provide scholarship opportunities. So another kind of cool and exciting thing here at this project is their approach to remote operations. The team recently broke ground on a facility called Centro in Nogales, about 25 minutes from the mine site. From this remote operations center, many aspects, once in production, will be controlled without workers needing to be underground at all, which is mind-blowing to me. By placing the center in Nogales rather than at the mine site, South32 is making mining careers more accessible to a wider range of people while transforming traditional mining jobs into high-tech roles that focus on safety and efficiency.
We will have a place that we call Centro, which is a remote operations center, but houses other things. And there we will be doing teleremote semi-autonomous mucking as an example. And that will allow us to be able to move ore in the mine 24/7.
What stood out to me in all of these initiatives is that they're designed to create lasting benefits that will continue even after mining operations will eventually end. This is a fundamental shift from historical mining approaches where communities were so prone to boom and bust cycles with the mining industry. As the project moves from construction into operation, the workforce will evolve, eventually transitioning into approximately 800 to 900 direct South32 employees when full production begins. So that's a pretty big number, and South32 is committed to employing 80% of its workforce from Santa Cruz County.
So one thing it gives me goosebumps this project has done is that generational families are able to stay here and have good paying jobs where we haven't had that in the past. So
Awesome. I do love that so much.
If you're interested in learning more about the Hermosa project or even exploring career opportunities here, South32 has made it really easy to connect.
If anyone has any questions about the project or would like to get in touch with someone to learn more, where can they do that?
So we do have a website, and then we also have the askhermosa.com, so they can email and get it to the right departments to answer any questions they have. We get a lot of different questions through there, from employment to what are you mining, where are you going to process it, so they can ask anything they want in there. We'll try to get them the answers.
Awesome. So if I didn't answer any of your questions in this video and you want to dig deeper or learn more, I'll put those links in the description below as well. So besides that,
you can come to Patagonia and visit me here in my office. We're at 301 McAllen Avenue in Patagonia, Arizona.
Awesome. And it's such a fun time to visit. If you want to learn more about Patagonia, we have a video coming up about this area here. It is the Patagonia you've never heard of. And I'm so excited to have this such a cool project here and be able to come experience it. So everybody tell the South32 team, thank you for having us out in the comments below.
They also offer public tours on the first Friday of every month from October through June, giving community members a chance to see firsthand what we've explored in this video. Before we wrap up, I did promise to show you what's hidden inside that historic bank vault. So let's head back for one final discovery.
And then in here, so it talks about all of the different things. So this is one of the zinc minerals that we saw on site, and it goes into the springs of a four-wheeler. Who would have known? Yeah. Do you think we can walk away with any of these? They're not watching us. Just kidding. For real though, this is some really great core samples. Check these out. And then of course the PPE. They do public tours, so you don't need to have all the PPE like we do. They give you all of it, so come check it out. I highly encourage it. Such a cool tour and just a fun, great team. I really enjoyed it. So massive thank you again to South32 and the Hermosa team for having us out. Again, this was not paid or sponsored in any way. They were just kind enough to give us an exclusive behind the scenes look at this project. So we will see you next time.